Ninety forward years old. That number, it settles heavy on my tongue every time I say it. Ninety forward years old. No daughter's gentle knock at my door before breakfast. No grandchild's voice calling to ask how I am. Just the whisper of the wind through the courtyard and soft light filtering through curtains I hand-stitched myself over 30 years ago. Back then, my eyes still saw clearly enough for such delicate work. A detail I rarely forget. This quiet morning ritual often leads to a familiar contemplative reflection. It's an unspoken truth, isn't it? The one they tell you from childhood. People my age should be surrounded by family. A kitchen brimming with laughter. Children returning Sundays. Always someone nearby. I believed it my entire life. That's how it was supposed to be, how it had always been for my mother, and for her mother before her. But nobody tells you about reaching 94. Most who should be with you aren't. Those cuidar have their own lives now, their own mornings to tend. This reality creato tension. The heart feels full of memories, yet strangely, undeniably empty. Sometimes the phone stays silent for days. The house's quiet becomes its own presence, a kind of overlooked emotional pattern in aging. Yet every morning I do something so small, so quiet, most would find it almost laughable. But it's why I'm still here, why I still feel myself. Stay with me a little while. I don't receive many visitors these days. If what I share touches something true within your heart, please stay, listen, and perhaps leave a word in the comments. It means more than you can imagine, to simply feel heard in this quiet space. I remember when this kitchen always smelled vibrant, simmering pot beans from early morning, the rich aroma of café de olla asterisk, Ernesto prepared daily in his mother's clay pot. For 41 years, this kitchen held a scent of belonging, of shared warmth, of someone always present, always returning. It wasn't just a smell, it was a promise, a comforting rhythm woven into the fabric of our lives. Ernesto passed in 2000, a Thursday in March. I remember it vividly. The night before, we spoke of visiting our daughter, Celia, in Monterrey. He wanted to go before rainy season. I, with my practical mind, suggested waiting. No following month. I never made it to Monterrey as planned. Not with him beside me. After Ernesto, the house fell quiet. Not total silence. No, I know that kind too. But quiet in the way that truly matters. No footsteps but my own. No other breath in the night. No one across the table to ask, "What do you feel like for dinner, mi amor?" The house felt full of echoes. The empty chair at the table became a daily, heavy reminder. I told myself I was fine. I was strong. I'd raised 5 children here. Buried a husband. Survived 2 comadres who were like sisters. My mother didn't raise me to need care. I prided myself on that resilience. This self-reliance, this enduring strength, can be a quiet armor, even when hearts are heavy with unacknowledged needs. My children call. Celia calls Sundays after Mass. Roberto calls Christmas and Mother's Day without fail. The other 3, they call when they remember. Not as often, but when they do, I never reproach them. I understand life presses down, demanding much of their time and energy. For years I convinced myself this was enough. That Sunday call, the Christmas visit that sometimes happened, sometimes didn't, commitments, a sick grandchild, no boost money. Grandchildren appeared with that gentle guilt I recognized but never spoke. I had ways to fill my days, to keep the quiet at bay. My garden, where I cultivated epazote and hierba santa, refusing dried herbs as long as good earth was beneath my feet. The Tuesday rosary with parish ladies, until my knee worsened. Books Marisela, my neighbor, lent me. The small routines, familiar rhythms, were anchors in a changing, turbulent sea. But beneath it all, beneath the facade of being perfectly fine, a cold thread whispered, "You are 89, and if something happened tonight, no one would know until Sunday." The quiet phone, left too long untouched, amplified this fear, this sudden vulnerability. I wasn't ready to face it. So I kept tending my garden. I kept telling myself I was fine. This is where loneliness becomes more than simply being alone. It's a question of your place in the world, your perceived value, and the unexpected fragility of it all. This may explain why the silence feels heavier than words sometimes. It's the silence of shifting roles, of a life once central moving to the periphery. There's a particular loneliness nobody truly prepares you for. It's not just grief, though I know grief intimately. This is different. This is the loneliness of continuing to exist, when so many others have gone ahead. It's waking up day after day, slowly realizing that to the bustling world you've become a gentle burden, not with cruelty, not ill intent, but a subtle shifting of focus, a quiet presence that no longer fits neatly into accelerated lives, an internal observation, a profound change in the emotional landscape. I don't say this with resentment. I've had time to think. It's no one's fault. My children have mortgages, jobs, their own children. Life doesn't pause for old age. It doesn't quite rearrange itself as we expected. Asterisk. Here is the part most people never say out loud. Asterisk. There was the birthday when Celia sent a WhatsApp. Just the message, no call, 3 cake emojis, her name. I read it 3 times. Then the Day of the Dead, I spent alone. Everyone had plans. I told them not to worry. I'd arrange the altar myself. So I did. I placed photos of Ernesto and my parents and vibrant marigolds. He sat before that altar, speaking to them as always. And I thought, asterisk, this is how it is now. Exactly this is my reality. Hoy pinto. Then the fall in the bathroom, winter 2021. Nothing broke, thank God. Only my pride, the towel rack I clung to, and 40 long minutes on the cold tile floor before I could rise. No one knew. I didn't tell anyone. What would I say? That I fell, lay alone, and got up alone because there was no one to call? I'd always believed independence was a choice. I was beginning to understand the stark difference between choosing independence and having no other option. I'd confused those two for years. By 92 I felt a full weight, accumulated silence, days passing without a human voice beyond the television. The television doesn't know your name. Some nights in the dark I'd ask, plainly, asterisk, what exactly am I holding on for? Not in desperation, but like a practical question needing an answer. What thread keeps a person moving when most loved ones, and those who truly knew them, are gone? I had no answer. Think about waiting for someone to call. Notice how your home feels when no one visits. This is not weakness. It is a human response. It means your heart noticed a change. Then I found it, accidentally, on an ordinary February morning 2 years ago. I woke, as always, near 5 a.m. My body had its own firm opinions. For a fleeting instant between sleep and waking, I forgot. The year my age, that Ernesto was gone. Then I remember. The memory fell like cold water, like a heavy door slamming shut. I lay there in the dark. Outside, the dry February cold held the world still. I thought about getting up. Nothing truly demanded my presence. I am not a person who has ever wanted to give up. But in that moment, perhaps for the first time in 92 years, I understood the temptation to simply not bother, to let the day pass without engaging with its quiet emptiness. Then something small happened. I got thirsty. After 92 years, thirst pulled me from bed. My body simply needed water. I rose, went to the kitchen, and put the cafetera asterisk on. As I waited for the water to boil, I looked out the window. It was still dark, but that particular darkness before dawn. It knows something new is coming. Perched on the lemon tree branch, completely still, was a quiet gray dove, gazing out like me. I said Buenos dias, out loud to a pigeon. In my kitchen at 5 a.m., hair loose, oldest shawl wrapped around my shoulders. A shared silent moment. When the café de olla asterisk was ready, I sat, both hands clasped around the clay cup, feeling its comforting warmth. I just stayed there, present with the heat and the darkness slowly changing. Nothing was fixed. Ernesto was still gone. Celia still called Sundays. My knees still ached. The house was still quiet. But that coffee, it was something I prepared for myself. Something that existed because asterisk. I asterisk had decided to prepare it. Because asterisk, I asterisk had decided to be in the kitchen at 5 a.m. and make a small thing completely for me. And something deep inside, very old and very tired, recognized that as enough. That small deliberate act of self-care became a vital emotional bridge. Now, every morning, before anything else, I prepare my café de olla asterisk. I know how that sounds. It seems the least remarkable thing a 94-year-old could tell you. But let me finish. I wake almost always before 5 a.m., before checking the phone, before glancing out the window, before my quiet inventory of aches. Before all that, I put water to boil. I have a special asterisk, jarrito, asterisk. It belonged to Ernesto's mother, black clay from Oaxaca, with a small crack I never mended. It felt like part of its story. I take it from the shelf and place it on the stove. I measure cinnamon, piloncillo, coffee. I wait for the boil. I pour slowly. I carry the asterisk jarrito asterisk to the chair by the window, and I sit. That's all. I sit with my coffee and watch the morning unfold. If there's dew on the lemon leaves, if the dove has returned, the sky's color, never quite the same as yesterday. For 20, sometimes 30 minutes, I am completely present. No rehearsing what to tell Celia Sunday, no adding to the house's needs, no sitting with the heavy presence of absences. Just the asterisk, jarrito asterisk, the window, the morning gently beginning. This ritual touches on truths about aging, how family roles shift, leaving unspoken expectations, how loneliness isn't just being physically alone, but routines changing, how self-respect and emotional boundaries become crucial, how memories and quiet grief coexist with acceptance. Understanding this small world, the window, coffee, dove, honors my need for dignity, usefulness, and quiet, profound connection. Even when human connections feel distant. I am 94 and live alone. No one looks after me as I once thought they would. That's the plain truth. Unvarnished. I'm past softening it. But here is the other truth. Una took me 92 years to truly grasp. I look after myself every morning before the world reminds me of all I no longer have. I give myself something warm, made with my hands, small enough for a cup, large enough to deeply matter. It quietly declares, asterisk, you are still here. This day is worth receiving. You deserve coffee, a window, the dove's quiet company. Clarity often comes before peace. Family distance, while painful, is complex, not always intentional. The most important thing is to maintain my dignity and consistency in my own actions, to be my own anchor. My mother used to say the most important relationship is with yourself. She said it like borrowed wisdom, untested by deep solitude. Now I understand it differently. Not because I am more, but because I've had more time. Long enough alone to know that oneself is not small. It is, in fact, una constante que atraviesa through all those shifts and losses of life. I am not waiting for my children to save me. Not waiting for someone to arrive at this door to make me feel my life still counts. I have my asterisk jarrito asterisk, my window, my lemon tree dove, who returns most mornings. I've decided to call him Ernesto. That's the kind of small, profound decision a 94-year-old woman can make without asking permission. It's a quiet act of honoring memory while embracing the present. A gentle reassertion of self. When these pieces are understood, changing family roles, unspoken expectations, subtle grief, the need for dignity, the heart has more room to breathe. To anyone listening who knows this loneliness, waking in a quiet house, feeling the weight of years and absences, I want to tell you just this. Find your asterisk jarrito, asterisk. Find your window. Find the smallest thing you can do for yourself before the day reminds you of what it carried away. Not to be strong, not to prove anything, but simply because you are still here. And to still be here after everything. It is, in fact, the entire beautiful story. You might be thinking, maybe I am just too sensitive, or my children are busy. Should I feel hurt? These are common thoughts, often designed to quiet our own feelings. But sensing a shift, noticing a quiet, that's not being sensitive, that's human, attuned to reality. Your children's business is real, but your feelings are too. It's not about blame, but acknowledging the emotional reality of changing dynamics. Is it too late to rebuild closeness? Perhaps not entirely. Rebuilding isn't always about grand gestures. It's understanding the landscape, calibrating expectations without lowering dignity, finding peace in what asterisk is asterisk possible. Is loneliness just part of getting older? For many, the experience intensifies with age, but the asterisk feeling asterisk of loneliness can be understood and navigated. It's not simple acceptance, but a journey into self-discovery, learning to be a more complete companion to yourself. There are things no one tells you about surviving to this age. They don't tell you the body keeps going long after the social world reorganizes as if you were no longer quite present. You'll spend years more familiar with your own breath than any other sound. They don't tell you love doesn't simply cease because those who held it no longer stand beside you. It changes form. It becomes quieter, more internal, less dependent on being received by another. It transforms, if you allow it, into something you give entirely to yourself, a deep, abiding self-compassion. I have lived through things that would stop a younger person cold. Born in 1932, I remember Buewai not as history, but as rationing coupons and homes silent, waiting for letters. I've buried parents, a husband, friends, and one of my own daughters. I've watched entire ways of living disappear. Through it all, one constant. Morning always arrived. Light always changed. And always somewhere in the first hour. A small window of time belonged only to me. That window is my Café de Olla asterisk. My actual window. And my quiet dove in the lemon tree. This morning, like all these mornings, was worth receiving. If this reflection resonated, if the quiet truths I shared touched your heart, please write Soledad in the comments. It helps others find this message. Consider sharing it with someone older who might need to hear these quiet words. And if you'd like to hear more honest stories and reflections, subscribe. It helps this small window stay open. This content is educational only and not personal advice. For deeper concerns, consider speaking with a trusted professional.